All right, so let's start. Good evening to everyone. I hope you had a fantastic day. And we're really looking forward to have our CE panel today through Kickstart with many great speakers. And I would love to welcome you. So at first, maybe we'd like to say why are we here today and what's going to happen. So to walk you through some of the logistics, and then we'll come to the most exciting part to hear from our speakers. And then we of course will go through Q&A. So we have some questions that we have prepared, but then we also would love to hear from you and see if you would like to ask directly the speakers. And then I think we'll all have amazing dinner. So let's go through that. So Kickstart innovation is focusing on closing the gap between the different organizations and startups and creating many meaningful partnerships. We have been engaged in the initiative since 2016, and we work in many different verticals, including fintech, food, insurtech, health tech, edtech, smart city. And we're really excited. And last year we also included Circular Economy Initiative and decided not to just run it as additional vertical, but more really implement it through across all the different verticals. And I would say that I'm really happy to always speak more about the examples. I'm really happy that we have alumni joining us as our partners to speak about the experience also. And I would say about the positives, but also I would say about the challenges that you are facing on daily basis, and really appreciate that you're sharing that. So welcome to everyone. If we speak about maybe the housekeeping kind of the webinar, we are going to record this webinar, so then you can also listen to it or share that afterwards. When the speakers speak, they will basically present, and afterwards we'll collect the questions. So please have that in the section, and we'll make sure that we check that and we will share that. And then you'll be muted. So if you have any comments, please put that in the comment section that we can support you in the right way. But I would say without further ado, I'm hoping to move to our exciting speakers. We have Naomi MacKenzie, a co-founder of KITRO, which is alumni from Kickstart. Then we have Manuel Winter from Oxygen at Work, also alumni of Kickstart. And then we have Felix Stähli, who is the co-founder of the Circular Economy Transition and many other organizations, including Impact Hub, Lausanne and Geneva. So welcome to everyone. Maybe as we go, I will let you to maybe, I know that you pitch a lot in your daily jobs, and so I will let you to pitch maybe in a fun way. Who are you and what's your organization about? So let's maybe, I said I think 2 minutes, but maybe we can give you 3 minutes that you can really explain what is happening, and then we'll be of course asking more questions. So maybe Naomi, could we give you word and could you start please?
Yes, I'm happy to. Thank you, Katka. Hi, everyone. My name is Naomi MacKenzie. I'm one of the two co-founders of KITRO. We were part of the 2017 cohort accelerator program from Kickstart, and we were in the food vertical. So we started a company called KITRO, and KITRO focuses on food waste management for the hospitality industry. So essentially for commercial kitchens, whether it's hotels, restaurants, or canteens, we measure the food that's being thrown into their trash bin. So it's comprised of a hardware solution and a software. We install a scale with a camera and IoT device that essentially hangs above your trash bin. And every time you throw something away, we'll capture an image of what's being thrown away. And then based on image processing and machine learning technologies, we annotate the different images and understand what is filling your trash bin. So in the end, you get an analytics dashboard that shows you how much food you're throwing away, what was the cost of the food that you were throwing away, what time did it occur. And having these insights allows chefs and top managers to be able to address their operational inefficiencies to lower their food costs, reduce lost resources, and save time and energy. So you can imagine this, if we see a lot of French fries coming back from the plates, and we always see it's overportioned by 30 grams, then we can give recommendations to lower the portion size or maybe prepare less in advance. Maybe the staff members don't like Brussels sprouts at the canteen, so stop putting Brussels sprouts on the menu offer. And having these insights and the data behind it to really drive operational changes, and really showing that there is a financial benefit to measuring your food waste, but also there's a sustainability impact when you measure your food waste and then start to take action to reduce it. So we're really excited to see the circular economy push from Kickstart and all the programs and initiatives that are going to come out of this focus now.
Great, thank you so much, Naomi. Now I'd like to invite Manuel. Can you maybe pitch to us or share kind of a little bit more about you and about your organization?
Sure. Thank you very much, Katka. Hello, everybody. Happy to be here and share some of my experiences. I'm Manuel Winter, one of the co-founders of Oxygen at Work. We participated last year, 2019, in Kickstart, and we're part of the Smart City vertical. And basically, we are all about air quality, in particular indoor air quality in office spaces. And we want to tackle this problem in a natural way. So we combine high-performing natural plants with sensor technology and data analytics to improve the air quality in office spaces, meaning reducing pollutant levels and increasing humidity, basically in order to improve health and well-being of the employees and reduce the energy consumption of office buildings. And you can imagine we offer everything from like the calculation of the best or the right type and amount of plants for a specific office space, over to the maintenance of these plants, the supply of the sensors, and in the end the smart analytics of the data to make sure that it's all well integrated and synchronized into the whole ecosystem of an office building, including ventilation systems and so on. And yeah, we work mainly with large corporates together here in Switzerland, and also thanks to Kickstart also in Germany since then. Basically companies that want to create a healthy and sustainable office environment.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks for also promoting our program. Really appreciate it. And I'm so happy to see the outcomes. It's always nice to work on project and see that. So thank you so much. And then last but not least, Felix Stähli, would you like to share a bit more about you and what you do every day?
Happy to. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Katka. I'm here basically to also represent the Circular Economy Transition project. That's an initiative that we do together with all the impact hubs in Switzerland and the research partner called Sana Durabilitas. And I'd love to share a couple of words about that, because I think that's more interesting than what I do in my daily life. But yes, it's one of the projects that I'm involved with and that I'm involved in and that I'm really excited about. So maybe a little bit more about this project. So I think many of you must probably already have heard about Impact Hub, and you know us as an event space or as an incubator space or as a consultancy, or maybe really as how we look at ourselves as a community builder foremost, to bring different parts, different people, capacities, different institutions of different sizes or sectors together, because we believe they all have to bring something to the table to make the future work, to create that future together. And that's what we have been doing over a number of years so far. And that's been an interesting and exciting journey. And if I wouldn't be adhering to it, I wouldn't be here. But one thing that struck us with our programmatic approach, which was that it often seemed to me personally that we are pinpointing a bit. So now we're going to focus on this element, or now on that element, biodiversity, fintech for good, etc., etc. And we had an opportunity 2 years ago to bring this all kind of home and make it a coherent project. Not that the other projects wouldn't continue to live, but that we can somehow have some systemic approach to what we're trying to achieve. And what we're trying to achieve is to enable actors to become the best versions of themselves as the creators of the future world. And that's viable, So we need to be able to make some money that's going to be inclusive, this world that we envision, so everyone has a space in that future, and also ecologically sustainable. So we're not doing it on the back of the planet as we are currently doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's why this project, Circular Economy Transition, has 4 aspects. We work on bringing different actors together through monthly events in all 5 cities in Switzerland where we have impact hubs, the 6th one coming now in Ticino. We support early stage entrepreneurship ideas through the incubator program, CET Incubator. We work with SMEs and corporates more as a consultancy and bring them together along the value chains so that they also can really leverage and embrace the transition towards a circular economy. And we do policy recommendation and research together with our partners to also shape basically the policy frame and the regulatory space. So this is why we were super excited to actually join forces with Kickstart, because it adds to us a new component to it. Yeah, happy to be here.
Cool. Thank you so much, Felix. So I will maybe kind of challenge with the first question directly to you. So as I've been working on this project for the last 8 months now, I learned that there's many different definitions of the circular economy. There's really, I know that you went through that challenge to also find the right definition. Could you maybe share with us what is circular economy for you and for CET, that we can get a little bit more educated?
Yes, exactly. So the whole work when we launched this systemic project was kind of like, how do we define what we're actually working on? And we researched and found over 150 definitions. So of course, what we did, we said, let's create our own one then, if we cannot adhere to another one. And what we found is basically 4 different aspects to how we describe what circular economy to us means. The first part is around principles. Principles that have to do with design of solutions, being it services or goods, that reach from, if we talk about physical goods, they shouldn't hold any toxic components in it, because what's toxic always remains toxic. But there is others, such as modularity, that we want to be able to just change certain parts of a physical product rather than dump the whole thing in the trash once the first thing breaks, right? Hashtag iPhone. Different such of principles. We have 9 in total. Then a second pillar that we figured is, this is really where it's exciting to us also, maybe compared to just maybe sustainability. It's about business model. It's about economic opportunity. So the notion around business model simplified could look like, do we need to have access to solutions, or do we need to own the solutions ourselves as consumers? Hashtag sharing economy. Do I need a car, or do I need to have a way to solve my mobility problem, and I join mobility and actually have access to very different cars, and I only pay what I use? So it has a lot of implications about business models and a lot of opportunities. The third aspect that through which we define circular economy are the activities that we can do. How can I, as a private person in my life, or as a professional with my job title, or as an institution, how can I live circular economy today? So it has to do with taking smart choices, being a smart being, let's say. Maybe all of us have heard about these famous R's that have to do with reuse, reconsider, recycle, all these R's that come, and the logic of like, what are the questions that I'm asking myself if I want to really go as deep as possible into the circular journey. And the fourth element is the mindset. Today, we maybe are not yet fully embracing what circular economy needs. And what it needs is a systemic approach. It needs to look a little bit further than over his own plate of soup, and just say everyone else is the problem. Like, we are all interconnected, but we also all have our unique assets that we can bring to the table. So mindset also has to do with valuing diversity. There is no such thing as one size fitting for all. And to acknowledge that there is also different types of values that we want to capture. Not just the monetary value that we capture through money, but there is also ecological value, there is societal, there is social value. So success in the future to us should look like really maximizing the value across that spectrum. So that's how we define circular economy at CET.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think this is really not easy to explain, and I think it's great to present different pillars. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
I had some time to prepare to learn that actually over the past 1.5 years.
So maybe now moving kind of, I think the next step will be perfect to say, okay, what are the examples on the market, right? Manuel and Naomi, you kind of face that every day. Can you maybe explain, like, what does CE mean to you, and maybe give some examples of the initiatives that you're working, or also how do you collaborate with organizations? As Felix mentioned, a lot of times it's also about changing minds. So how do you kind of approach that through your daily life and through your activities? Maybe Manuel, would you like to start?
Sure. So I think it's important to maybe distinguish between companies that are actually part, or that their business model helps the circular economy work well, and just like other companies that change their mindset in a way to adhere to those standards, let's say. And we are definitely not a company that helped to create the circular economy, but it's very, very important for us to make sure that that we implement as many of these standards and approaches into our business, into our value chain, and so on as possible. And I believe every company can actually make the choice to participate in such a circular economy. So for us, very just to become more tangible, what does it mean if we talk about a normal plant, or a normal potted plant that you would put into an office space? There's the beginning and the end of a life cycle of a plant. It's a living creature, so at some point it will reach its end of its life. And then the main question is, what do we actually do with those plants that we cannot use anymore, in the office spaces? And we could either dump it somewhere, which is probably the cheapest solution, dump it somewhere in the trash. Or we could, there are many options to reuse it. You can reuse it for biofuel, for example, which is more expensive because most of the recycling stations ask you to pay them something to give them the plants to recycle, even though they will like recycle it and put it back on the market. But that would be one very concrete example of what you can do. On the other side, at the beginning, when we choose what kind of input factors do we need, for example, looking at the pot, you can use very simple pots to put your plants in, and then there are different solutions. You can either go with plastic, you can go with recycled plastic, you can go with a more natural material, but even a natural material doesn't even mean that it's the most sustainable solution, because in the whole production process, it might be that all the emissions and the energy consumption might be much higher than, for example, a recycled product. And the recycled product, which is what we use, would then go back into this idea of having a circular economy of for example, a PET bottle once being used somewhere in the world, and then it gets recycled either into a new PET bottle, or it gets recycled and it will be reused as a pot where you put in a plant into an office space. So I think these are the very tangible examples, and I think as a company, you can really look at every step of your value chain or every step of all your activities, and have to think about how do you want to approach it in the beginning and at the end of your activity, in order to access this idea of circular economy.
And do you find it like as an easy implementation, or was it quite a journey for you to come, to, I would say, the stage where you are now at?
Well, I have to admit we are far from perfect. We still try to find the right solutions for different aspects, but I think as an entrepreneur, obviously, it's always you're always in that dilemma talking about recycling or reusing a plant where you have the cheaper version or the more sustainable version, and you kind of in the end have to balance everything, especially if you're a small company, you want to grow fast. You might not have unlimited capital to make these decisions. So then you get into these dilemmas where you need to take the right decision. I personally believe that going with the social and sustainable solution will always pay back in the long term. It might be more expensive right now compared to like dumping something somewhere in the trash, but in the long term, I believe it will always pay back directly or indirectly. For me personally, that's very important. But still, you're always in that dilemma.
Thank you so much. What is it for you, Naomi? What does it mean? And can you share some of the activities maybe that you have? And I think what I'm also really curious about is that I would say there's always kind of, you hear about the gap between, let's say, startups and the other organizations, and also like, how do you change the mindset, let's say, of the corporates that are set in their ways, and you know, what's the development of that? What will be your feedback for us?
Yeah, so for us, it's definitely been a learning experience since we started KITRO. It's been really, we focused on sustainability, but really didn't have this concept of circular economy. And I think for us, we look at two kind of different circles. And one is maybe the circle inside your company, and how do you perform sustainably from how do you source different items, how do you operate in a resource efficient way, and really live these resource efficient values in the company. But then also identifying the circle that you are operating within. So all the different players and stakeholders that have to be working together in order to actually make a sustainable circle. And for us, that was interesting to see, because we can measure the food waste, but first we need corporates who are going to be willing to measure their food waste, right? So this is actually where Kickstart helped us a lot. They got us in contact with Co-op, with Migros, with some of the bigger players that are looking at ways that they can be more resource efficient, that they can have a stronger impact when it comes to sustainability, and they can do their part to also build up this circular economy. So that really helped us to get a foot, especially here in Switzerland. And I think we need these players. We realize we need the end consumer, because you need to start demanding as an individual and start to be thinking about food waste at an individual level. So you're also part of this circle of food waste. Then we realize we have disposal companies that if you don't have the right means to pick up the food waste and a way to repurpose it afterwards, you also are part of this circular economy. We have regulatory restrictions. So the government is also part of the circular economy when we really microscope it and look at it at food waste. So there's so many different action points. And I think it's been a huge experience for us to see how many different players are actually involved, and to speak with the different individuals that go along the circle and understand where are the pain points for them and where's the opportunity for them as well. And it's exciting to see that more corporates are becoming interested in how they can take action and how they can take responsibility, but also regulatory. We had the opportunity also from Kickstart to speak at the World Economic Forum this year, and to see that they're putting it on the agenda to really see what has to happen on a countrywide level for people to start taking initiative. What does it have to happen on an individual level, and how can corporates start taking action to address it, even if it's not food waste, but plastic waste or any part along this circle. And I think it's circular economy. It's one big circle, but it's made up of so many small circles. And then within your company, you have this individual circle as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. This is great to hear. Thank you so much just to hear about the engagement. Maybe if we look at the engagement in Switzerland, you have been engaged now for a little bit. What do you see as a trend, and how Switzerland, in your view, are we doing enough? Are we not doing enough? Kind of, what are the examples that anybody from home can engage? Of course, next to using Kaitro and using oxygen at work or at home, and so what will be kind of the suggestions that you see? Then there's someone sitting in their living room right now and say, "This is all great, but how do I become active, you know, in CE? How can I be part of the change? And so maybe we can start with Felix now and then go to Manuel and Naomi. Will that be okay?
Sounds good. I think, I mean, I'd love to speak longer than just kind of pitching a couple of ideas here, and also hear more from you, because it's a vast topic. I'm very passionate about it. But I guess, I think COVID-19 showed and made surfaced systemic issues that Switzerland has, dependency issues that Switzerland is in, like other countries, or even more so. I'm just thinking of when there was this shutdown in the Wuhan factory and no one actually had this specific drug anymore in the world, because it's only one firm producing a drug. It's just, this is just insane in my point of view to see these type of dependencies. I think a second point is that Switzerland is almost European champion in waste production. So something not to be that proud of, actually. So our footprint in Europe is huge compared to other countries to Europe. So we definitely have a lot to learn and a lot to apply differently. And the third thing to me is, if not us, who else? I mean, there is a lot of countries around the world who are also walking their journey towards circularity. But please, I mean, Switzerland is one of the richest countries. Many of us have a very good education. We are well connected. We are an internationalized economy. So how can we not kind of like assume this responsibility as Swiss to say, even if we don't know what we will cross ways with on that journey, we want to start actually walking it more intensively and more consciously.
Cool. Thank you so much. Manuel, what will it be for you?
So thinking about our business model first, I mean, what we do is we take, let's say, a simple plant and leverage to its full potential. And if you think back maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, companies used plant, or also people at home talking about oxygen at home. People use plants as pure decoration, right? Which is nice. And we went and said, no, actually, like if this is already a part of an interior space, why not use it to its full potential? And who would have thought what kind of benefits you get by choosing the right plants for health, sustainability, energy consumption of a building, and so on. And I think it's really this mindset which people should apply in their everyday life of making the right choice. It's all about choice. If you go and buy your yogurt, you can either buy it in a plastic cup or you can buy it in a glass, which might be able to be recycled. If you buy new clothes, you can buy clothes that have PET in it, or you can buy it from pure cotton, which can be reused. So it's literally, you can look at every choice you make, from the bank account you open to the food you eat to everything that you consume, and you will always have the choice. One might be more expensive, but the other might be more sustainable. So I think we as individuals, we have the choice already nowadays. The question is whether we live up to that responsibility or not, because once the consumers make a decision, everyone else will follow. So in that case, the power distribution is clear, but I think at the moment most people don't choose the more sustainable way for now.
Thank you so much, Manuel. What will it be for you, Naomi?
Yeah, I think the question is if we're doing enough. I think no country should answer yes to that, and no individual should answer yes to that. I think there's always more you can do. But I also think it's not about this switching. If you enjoy eating meat, it's not about switching to being vegetarian. It's about making conscious decisions and really thinking twice about whether you need to consume that much. When you're having a piece of bread at home and you're about to throw it away, just to think, could I do something else with it? Can I turn it into croutons? Can I blend it in the blender and have breadcrumbs? Can I put this banana in a smoothie or in the freezer instead of throwing it away when it turns brown? And there's really small little tricks that it doesn't seem like a lot, but if everyone would do these small little tricks, it would already have a massive input. So even if you go to the supermarket, when you're buying your fruits and vegetables, I know there are plastic bags there to put your fruits and vegetables in, but it does not make sense to not put your fruits and vegetables into this bag. You're taking it home and you're taking it out of the plastic bag. So little actions that really don't cost you much are going to have an impact if we can multiply it. And I mean, on the individual level, the biggest thing that you can do is start bringing also technology and innovation in a way that's going to have a multiplier effect, right? Bring new solutions that can allow us to make it so that the switching cost is even lower for individuals. So we don't feel like we have to give up something, make burgers that are as good as meat burgers. So we don't feel like we're losing out when we make that sustainable choice.
Thank you so much, Naomi. I think that was great to kind of to give tips to everyone. I think they should definitely chase you for more tips so that everyone can implement it, and maybe in the future months we can have competition or something to check it out. Maybe that is a good challenge for us through Kickstart to see how much we can do actually. I would say I will move to the last question and then we can maybe move to the questions from the audience, because I can see the numbers popping up. So I would say if you had a wish, kind of, I would say if there was a wish that you could do anything connected to sustainability, connected also to your business, what would that be for you? And we can maybe now start with to.
Sorry, could you please repeat the question? I didn't hear it properly.
If you had any wish that you could have, you know, in connection to sustainability to your business, what it will be?
That companies are like that companies put higher budgets in sustainability, basically, because let me explain it briefly. What we see, all companies or all larger companies and corporates, they talk about sustainability, they put it on their website, they put it in their annual report, it's all there, they have a head of sustainability and everything, but then usually they lack any budget. Which is a pity. Basically, like this, it only becomes a story, and it becomes a marketing stunt. And I think if corporates really want to move into a more sustainable direction, they need to change. They need to change the way the way they operate. In every aspect of their business, and no change is free, basically. So there needs to be some budget allocated to that, because again, in the end, I guess in the long run, whether it's from a PR or marketing and image perspective or from an operational cost perspective, in the long run it will pay out. But most corporates and companies are driven by quarterly reports, which make this a little bit difficult.
Cool. Thank you so much. What will be there for you, Felix?
Can I have two wishes?
Okay.
All right, because I have one that's kind of linked to what I heard from you, Manuel, this question of choice. I find it's very powerful. I experienced that myself. I'm a sustainability enthusiast all my life, but I must admit, I felt empowered when I understood the concept of circular economy, because it gave me a coherent and kind of like complete framework on how, like a compass, an action compass, how I can, with my choices in my daily life, be part of the solution or remain part of the problem. And believe me, I'm part of the problem in many ways still, so I have a long way to go. But with all the actions that we heard from Naomi, and with also this question of choice from you, Manuel, I think this is really what we are talking here. This is also how I look at it. Can compare it to going to vote for an election without knowing what's happening with my casted vote, and it doesn't make any sense. And that's how I felt before of when I did a sustainable action, let's say. But if you know how democracy works, and if you know that your vote counts, then you go and you actually are part of the system. It's the same thing with circular economy. So I wish that more people are being able to use the tool of circular economy to make intelligent decisions and empowered decisions. And the second wish I have is more directed to the economy, also linked a little bit to what I heard from you now, Manuel. Yes, I think it's important first step for business to recognize the importance of sustainability, but then a challenge for us, and I think that is the journey, to have them moving this sustainability aspect more and more into the center of how they actually plan and act. And there, my wish is that we are able to decodify and vulgarize circular economy, which seems very theoretical and university type of language, but it's not. There is very clear language that the business can adhere to, or that actually comes from the business world, such as really in new business models. It creates huge opportunities here. Risk and resource management, because in the future, access to your resources might not be as easy as now if the Chinese continue to grow as they do with their economy. Traceability, you will want to know more where your stuff comes from and where it goes, because you're probably going to be held accountable to some part. Hashtag a multinational initiative that's coming up in Switzerland. Digital strategy. Many businesses are still lost on like, how should they really, what's their North Star on how to digitalize? Well, circular economy can be that North Star for you, or decarbonization strategies, just simply put. So my second wish is that the business sector, that we can actually start using the right words for describing circular economy, which are the words that are very valuable in the business sector, as the ones I mentioned. Sorry for taking that much time.
No, it was great. 2 long wishes. Loved it. Thank you so much. Naomi, can you hear us? I don't know if you can see us. Can you show your...
Yes, sorry, I'm having connection issues, so I turned off the camera, but I can hear you. My wish would be that actually, it might seem a bit extreme maybe, but that we would have the kind of regulations in place that enforce people to take sustainability actions, whether it's corporate, government-wise. And I know this is impartial because we don't have enough data to really say where should the limit be, what should the regulations be. But I think we see it a bit now with the global situation. The moment something is so severe and we can set regulations behind it, people start to listen and take action very quickly. And there's a different kind of understanding of the severity of it. And I hope that these regulations and kind of enforcement that we have to take action come before it's to the severity level that we see with the issue right now.
Cool. Thank you so much, Naomi. So I will now move to questions from the audience. So maybe you can always choose. So one question here is, how would you make actually circular economy or sustainability part of the corporate culture? So maybe this can be to Manuel. Can you speak maybe about one of the examples of collaboration and maybe things that you are proud of, or that you think that was a good example for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important. It's our responsibility to push the corporates and our partners into that direction. And basically the only way is to help them communicate, because that's, in my opinion, or that's from our experiences, what they want. They want, it's nice if they are sustainable, but they want to talk about it. They want to tell the world and position themselves in a sustainable way. So basically, what we did, we created a particular dashboard for our clients that is only targeted towards sustainability, and we made it in a way for them to share it easily internally or externally. So we, yes, it does say how much CO2 you saved, for example, but it also puts it in perspective. Like, what does it mean in terms of kilometers driven by car, or how much have you been, how many flights have you saved around the world, to make it very tangible, in order for them to promote it internally. And it did work. So, for example, one of our key accounts being Swissgrid, it's the organization that manages the whole electric grid in Switzerland. And they actually leveraged this project, and they gave us visibility in their intranet by writing an article, making an interview with me, and promoting the numbers internally. It's obviously directed towards employer branding, and brand themselves as a good and sustainable employer. But I think you do have to support them and push them and show them, hey, you can actually you use all these kind of things very easily. You just have to click on download, and you will get the stats or the image that you can share internally or in the annual report and so on, to also showcase. Because I think this selflessness doesn't exist in the corporate world, to simply become more sustainable just for the sake of being a good citizen. You need to show them this additional benefit that they can get out of it, and you basically need to walk almost the whole mile for them in order to make it very easy.
Cool. Thank you so much. And there was actually also a comment, I think, from one of our participants called Fatih. I want to add that we also need bottom-up approach, and kind of be clear about awareness and campaigns in the general public. Do you guys have maybe any examples through, that you feel as a success stories, that they're very great awareness campaigns that you could recommend, or you feel that actually also influenced you? Anybody could probably answer this question.
I mean, I just know a lot of circular products and services on the Swiss market kind of like coming about, and super exciting. One thing that I have in mind is there is this mattress producer in Switzerland that just because all the labor and all the standards are, the labor standards and all the regulations are being kept, of course, it's kind of like not really competitive, because you can always produce it cheaper somewhere. So they completely changed the business model. They're now renting out, they're keeping the ownership over their mattresses, but actually rent out the usability of the mattress per night as a unit. And actually their business flourishes because they can now give access to a lot of clients of their high premium mattresses and run a very sustainable and successful business. And once I was able, I think I needed about an hour or so that someone told me the concept of circular economy, and I could project myself into it. You start looking through kind of like the glasses of circularity, all you do, and it makes all sense, and you have much easier choice. So I could continue to bring some examples.
Good. Naomi, would you have any examples that kind of maybe changed your view about, like where to access the right resources about CE, or even from the activities that you are doing? Naomi maybe has a hard time connecting. Okay, maybe we can move to the next question. There are many here. There's maybe someone joining us from Scandinavia. So anybody, if you would like to answer, how would you estimate level of development towards circular economy in Switzerland in comparison to Scandinavian countries? Does anybody feel comfortable comment on that?
Manuel, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I will have to pass on that one. All I can say is that I have no idea about the efforts in Scandinavia, but in Switzerland, I think they are still, unfortunately, on a low level. There are some efforts, thanks to Kickstart and Impact Hub, that started the first initiatives. but I think in general, on a national level, if you would go out, talk to people, what is a circular economy and so on, most people won't be able to answer the question, which I think says it all.
Maybe I can add to that. It's not necessarily for us in Switzerland yet kind of like the inspiration that we look at. I guess we look more at the Netherlands if we keep it in Europe. But I think also COVID again showed the Swedes did it differently than the others, the Swedish, and this gave us an opportunity to see what happens if someone actually doesn't act like all the others. Oh, you're taking air, Manuel. I think you want to reply to that. But anyhow, they show that they can think a little bit out of the box. And I also think of kind of like how they look at society and how society is evolving and the needs. And I'm thinking of Finland, who is very progressive in terms of urban planning and design. And I think even if they maybe haven't yet put the ingredient of sustainability at the center of what they're doing, in terms of the mindset, they're advanced to the Swiss, because we are, I guess, more like the Vatican. We move only normally when everything is safe.
Good, thank you. I don't know, are you with us now, or maybe still problems, connections?
I think it might work. I'm very sorry, my connection is not very good, and it's hard to hear sometimes, but I will try to join in when I can.
No worries, no worries. So maybe, Naomi, do you have some examples of like engagement? You know, like there's actually a lot of questions here that I can see with the corporates, and it's really actually sweet because so many of the startups are asking, we're filling the application. So for Oxygen at Work and Kaitro, what are we supposed to put in our application so we get into Kickstart? So can you share your secrets maybe?
Yeah, so when we did Kickstart, we were actually really, really young. We were kind of the underdogs. We barely had a prototype and very little traction. So we're very thankful for the opportunity to be part of Kickstart. And I think showing the potential of your product and the impact that you want to have, and why the corporates in the program can help you to get the impact and accelerate that impact. Really focus on the POCs that you want to sign and why you want to sign with certain partners, because during the whole program, your vertical lead, the members of the Kickstart team, they're going to be there to support you to get those POCs signed.
Cool, thank you. Manuel, would you like to add anything?
Well, I can only second everything that Naomi said already. Focus on the impact that you want, that you want to create, a positive impact. Financial impact is also a positive impact, but social and ecological impact is definitely very important. And focus on the POCs. Look at the list of partners that are part of Kickstart. Check them out. Look what kind of businesses they have, business models, work streams, and so on. And really think ahead. What kind of POCs you could run with them, because in the end you have to get them excited about working together with you and creating a POC during the program.
Cool, thank you so much. I think it's good to hear from you guys directly. I would say maybe actually, Manuel, can you also mention, like before we started, you had this really funny story about the CEO dinner a little bit. Can you maybe mention that as one of the examples? I'm still curious what you pitched to the CEO, but maybe you can just give us an example.
Well, that's gonna be my secret, what I pitched to the CEO. But so basically, one of the highlights for me personally of the whole program was this the so-called CEO dinner, where correct me if I'm wrong, Katka, maybe 30, 40 around CEOs of the largest corporates in Switzerland joined, all crowded in one small space, and you get a chance to mingle with them. And for us this now, and what's also important to mention in that regard is that not only the CEOs of the partners come, but actually like a wide variety of CEOs of all kinds of companies joined that dinner, and and I had the chance, like I was, there was like this, I can mention it, it's ABB, one of the largest corporates in Switzerland, and we always had very difficult time getting in touch with them, and I knew that the CEO was joining, but I couldn't find him all evening long, and I was already quite upset because that was my my biggest bet for the evening. Or my main target, but then like I stayed very long because I wanted to talk to him, and at the end I actually found him, and then but he was talking to another CEO. That's what they like to do. I think we can be honest, they prefer to talk to each other rather than to startups. But one of the Kickstart team members was kind enough to interrupt and introduce me to the CEO. And basically I got 2 minutes to talk to him, and I pitched for 2 minutes. He gave me his business card and said, okay, let me see, I see what I can do. I messaged him the next day. He surprisingly got immediately back, saying, okay, he forwarded it to the relevant or responsible people, and I might hear back from them. Which, yeah, you never know. If it's not in your hand anymore, you don't know who these other people, who these people are, how you could reach out to them, and obviously don't want to follow up with the CEO a few times just to hear back from his team members. But actually, after a few weeks, we heard back, and then it actually went pretty smoothly, and we started with the first POC a few weeks ago. Yesterday, we started with already the second project with them, a commercial project, not a POC anymore. So it all this whole time of waiting and looking for him that evening, and those 2 minutes, those 2 golden minutes actually paid off very well.
Good, it's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing. Maybe the next question here, I really like, there are actually many, so I had to choose the last one before we run out of time of our session. I'd be happy to also share this afterwards, is who is your biggest competitor? And I find it really interesting. So what do you feel is your biggest competitor and why? Maybe Naomi, can you hear us? Okay, maybe let's go.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't think my connection is very good, but competitors in terms of other solutions on the market, or?
It's honestly just say who is your bigger competitor, so you can approach it from any angle you want, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we have our typical competitors, ones that are doing similar solutions, but the biggest competitor is to continue with this. Sorry, I have a lot of background noises, but to continue with this as normalcy. So for people to just ignore the issue and continue wasting food and wasting valuable resources, that will be the biggest challenge, that we have to convince people that there is a value in every piece of food that you throw away, whether it's financial or sustainable.
Cool, thank you. And for you, Manuel?
It's very funny, but I wanted to say status quo as well as our biggest competitor, or our biggest challenge, because that's in the end, like obviously there are always actual competitors, but I guess like as a group of companies working in one field, especially in a growing field, there is always a lot of space for everybody. So you actually start fighting only later in the process, and it's very hard. But it's very hard to fight status quo and making people change their assumptions, hypotheses. How do they want to work? If it's about food waste, if it's about plants at the office space, in whichever area. So I think this is for sure the biggest challenge.
Cool, thank you so much. Felix, what would you think of your competition?
I thought the same. I thought time, like that's the competitor. I think I'm focusing on biodiversity loss. I know that within my lifetime, we risk to lose 2/3 of the current biodiversity, and that's going to be difficult to recuperate. And so that's really kind of like the drive that I have. But along the way, I want to be positive and constructive, and also make my life and doing it joyful together with others, because I can't do it alone. So.
Cool. Thank you so much for the answer. So we unfortunately running out of time, so we'll move kind of to closing remarks. I would like to thank you so much to everyone for your questions. We'll make sure to answer the ones that we could not get to, especially connected to application questions, since we are coming to the deadline in 3 days, to make sure that we can support in the right way. So maybe kind of one sentence, or what would you wish to any of the participants, kind of how to engage overall in sustainability or CE? What would that be for you if you had to send one message to everyone? Maybe you can start with Manuel.
Sorry, I had again problems hearing it properly.
What will be the one thing that you will encourage, the participants to challenge them towards sustainability or through CE? What will be the one thing that you will, if there was a homework for them, or if it was a challenge for them, what would you ask them to do?
Challenge every choice you make, that you have made before and that you will make in the future.
Mm-hmm. Naomi?
Yeah, think about how you can maximize the impact that you're going to make, whether it's through partnerships or network or technology. Really think about what you want to do now, but really how can you push it even further?
Cool, thank you. Felix?
Yeah, if you can, then focus on really a big challenge. Be courageous and visionary, but then also know that no one of us has the solution. Like it's a journey. So take it step by step. Don't overwhelm yourself or everyone else, because we are in it for the long run. Exactly, not for the short run. So that would be my wish.
Cool, thank you so much, Felix. So maybe I was kind of taking notes as we were going through the session, and I will share my 3 favorite things from the last hour. So one is, I really love the message from Felix to say, you should have knowledge and educate yourself about CE. And I think this can be good task for everyone after this session. I really love Manuel, and he already said that to make the right choices and question that, which I think is amazing. And I really love practical responses from Naomi to say there are many tricks. How can you do this every day? So you can explore more. I really always love the examples in all your presentations about bananas. So I will definitely take that with me. But all that, I would like to thank to everyone for joining. For the ones who are interested in Kickstart, I would like to also encourage you to get in touch with our team. There are many amazing people like Jiske, Marcus, Amanda, Jose, and Sasha that are fighting in the background to make this world better every day. And I cannot wait to see you online or hopefully in person during the events in the future. Thank you so much to everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katka, for the invitation. Great.
Thank you.